So let's go ahead and get into the impact report. This is going to be a quick show tonight, guys. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth through my impact report. So if you hit me with a chat, I will get to it as soon as I can. I promise you that. And if you want to stop me dead in my tracks, throw down a super chat. Help me pay these bills. All right. So February 5th, 2026, Tingley Coliseum. So they've been there for a while. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Show opens up with a recap of the system's recent path of destruction and the simmering blood feud between Elijah and the Order of Four. Camera pan the exterior of the Tingley Coliseum, and Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt welcomed Ariana Grace to the commentary desk. She is not good at that. She's very, very not good. But she's there scouting Trey Miguel. So the opening match was Trey Miguel, and he was wrestling one from Australia, Adam Brooks, which is pretty funny because I saw that Adam Brooks was in MLW a week ago whenever they were recording the Battle Riot, and I was like, hey, that guy can get in the States? Like, he should be on TNA. So I was publicly advocating for him to be signed by TNA and for TNA to bring him in. All the while, because spoilers never got out, he had actually worked the TNA tapings the week before. So kudos to him for because he was like retweeting all of it and saying, yeah, that would be great. I would love to go to TNA. And little did I know he had already worked TNA. So kudos to him for kayfabe, and brother can keep a secret. So good for him. Even though at one point he did take a picture with Indy Hartwell, but I didn't even put it together. I just assumed it's like, oh, they're both Australian. So naturally, like, they'll just be the same airport. I don't know. Like, it's just in my head, that's how it works. Like, if you're from Australia, you all go to the same airport. So anyway, this was a good match, good opening contest. You know, unfortunately, they didn't really know who Brooks was, but this guy is like super yoked. He's not the tallest dude, but he's still like jacked. Can do all the moves. He's got some charisma. Not a ton, but he's got some. I think this is a guy that they should bring in and just keep him. He's not a guy that's been tainted by Fed TV. He's not a guy that's a washout from AEW. He's just a jacked up brother from the from down under who was on the Australian independent scene, looking for an opportunity, and he works hard. And he got an interview here. He got promo time. He got music and an entrance, and he came in after Trey Miguel, and Trey Miguel gave him a lot. It looked like they were trying to get this guy signed. And I know for a fact Tommy Dreamer actually likes this guy. So I'm like, okay, if Tommy Dreamer likes him, the wrestlers like him, he's good, he's jacked. Like, you don't have to tell him, hey brother, go work out. Like, you don't have to have that conversation with him. He might want to update like some of his like he comes out in like a hoodie. So you might have to update that a little bit, but he kind of looks cool like that. And he also looks like a dude that could be like the male lead in an action movie, you know, like one of the Thor brothers. What are their names? Those guys. He's not as tall as those guys, but he looks like he could play in movies with those dudes. So it's got a great look. I'm like, I was watching this. I'm like, why is this motherfucker not already signed? Like, what are we waiting for? What do we have to, like, what more information do we need about him? He has a visa. Like, he's not signed anywhere. He can come to the States. He's got his own work visa. I don't understand why he's not on the active roster already. Like, if we have that conversation, he's just, okay, yeah, no, he's signed. Like, no, he just works for us now. That makes sense. I don't, and he couldn't be asking for a ton of money. Like, that couldn't be the barrier, right? I don't know. It's weird. Super weird. But I dig the dude. I dig him. Let's see. But anyway, Trey Miguel got the victory. I thought this was a really good match. Did I see King of the North in here? King of the North series said, Gerard, don't come outside. I see this pay-per-view lineup. It's not a pay-per-view, but yeah, it's not a very good lineup. That's kind of and I'll get to that in a little bit. It's kind of a slapdash. But King and I, we were both publicly advocating for Adam Brooks, and all the while, Adam Brooks was already working in TNA. So that's pretty cool. I was trying to take credit for us making that happen, but it actually happened before we had our conversation. Let's see. Dream Crazy. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, Mike. Yeah, brother. Thanks for stopping by, man. I hope you get to finish the show later. For sure. For sure. All right. The Righteous, Vincent and Dutch, take on Tommy Two Scoops and TW3. This was a straight up squash match, and I like squash matches. I think we need more of these on television. Hold on, swig of Dr. P for the working man. Some zero sugar whoop ass right there. But they just beat the holy hell out of these guys. That's cool. Like, you need that every once in a while. I'm of the opinion that if you're trying to get somebody over, they don't need to have a 50-50 match, kick out of everything for 10 minutes match with some unknown people. Like my pro wrestling, if you're trying to get somebody over, the guy you're trying to push kicks somebody's ass, right? Like you can do it if like it's two co-equals, right? And they have this amazing match that makes sense if you're trying to get somebody over that way. But when it's like a lower card guy or somebody that's just like from the streets, you should be kicking their fucking ass. You don't need to have a great match with that. They don't need to be kicking out of like these big moves and all your finishers. Like that's stupid to me. It makes no goddamn sense. And I see it all the time everywhere. But thankfully, it looks like for the time, at least for like this round of tapings in New Mexico, because Cora Jade or whatever stupid name is, Elena Black, did it last week. She just beat somebody's ass. And then here we got the Righteous whooping up on Tommy Two Scoops, whoever the fuck that is, and TW3. I don't even need to know their names. Like they're there to get their asses kicked, and that rules. Like kick some people's asses. Like make that normal. So anyway, calculated demolition. Dutch and Vince utilized frequent tags, punishing with double team maneuvers. They toyed with TW3. The Righteous ended with the orange sunshine. And after the match, Vince offered a cryptic olive branch to the Hardys, claiming they want to stand beside the legends. And then backstage, Matt Hardy was skeptical of the sudden recruitment, while Jeff admitted that it felt strange frequency in the message and said, I think they want to team with us. Well, I think you think that, Jeff, because they said that. But it is kind of hard to decipher like what they're saying sometimes. But yes, that's exactly what happens. Oh, you know what I missed before was the after Trey Miguel won his match, Stinks attacked Miguel, and Grace pretended to be upset by this. So there you go. Okay. So Jeff Hardy is saying, man, I think these guys want to team with us. And he said it in a really poor fashion. Like he just can't have a conversation like a normal person. But it's Jeff. That makes sense. And then all of a sudden they just get attacked by the system. So they get attacked by the system, right? And they said, I think the Righteous want to team with us. And then all of a sudden the system show up and beat them up. So what does TNA do? They made a match with the Righteous and the Hardys versus Order 4. That makes no sense. But that's what's happening in No Surrender. The Hardys are wrestling the system next week on Impact, but before that match gets made, we find out that they threw together a match with the Order 4 for no goddamn reason. Like literally, there's literally no reason. Like I know they had done some stuff before. They had wrestled the Great Hands and stuff before, and I know last week Ali and Jeff Hardy wrestled. But you don't make that match after the system attacks. Because now the audience is like, okay, well, that's what I want to see. And now we're going to get that on TV. So we get the bigger match on TV, which is fine. They got to service AMC. But at No Surrender, we're just wrestling the Order 4 again. Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. All right. So the King's Proclamation. Following a suspicious backstage handshake between Frankie Kazarian and Daria Ray, the King, Kazarian, took to the ring. He offered backhanded compliments. He started calling Albuquerque, that was pretty funny. Yeah, he offered backhanded compliments to world champion Mike Santana, calling him a warrior, but claiming he lacks dignity and class. He blamed his recent losses on a surgically repaired hand and Santino Morella's bias. So, and then Kazarian's tirade was cut short by Elijah, who is still actively feuding with Ali. So again, like I know that you can have like multiple enemies, but now we're starting like the Elijah and Ali feud hasn't ended yet. We haven't gotten to that yet. And he's already starting something with Kazarian. It's like it gets to be too muddied, if that makes sense. Like there's too much going on. And I think AEW has this problem sometimes too, where they're trying to tell too many stories all at once. And I think that we were giving TNA shit for not doing a good enough job of telling stories for a while, and just like people bumping into each other backstage. And so like, okay, they're trying to upgrade things, but now they've got too many stories. So like Elijah has 2 or 3 storylines right now. It's like, okay, he can just give him one. Okay, we don't need Elijah having like different feuds. Like just give him one and he's okay. Like Elijah's gonna be fine. But anyway, Elijah's walking to the ring. And he's got his new song there. It's Elijah and Jada Stone and Mustafa Ali versus Mustafa Ali and Tasha Steelz with the Order of 4. And I tell you what, this match was so good. it was 10 times better than it had any right being. This Jada Stone, I think, has got something. She can't cut a promo. She's not good at promos. Like last week, that was bad. Okay. Not a good first impression as far as promos go. But then they put her in the ring. I was like, hold on. She's really good. It's like, that's wild. Like, hold on, where did this come from? And then, of course, when she's in there and she's like, when she's in there and she's wrestling Mustafa Ali. And Mustafa Ali, I got to admit, sold way too much for Jada Stone. Because especially if, like, he's a pushed guy and he's probably going to go for the title soon. So probably sold too much for the new knockout that nobody knows just yet. However, he made her look like $1 million. So yeah, he made her look awesome. So kudos to Mustafa. Like Ali is invaluable to this company for sure. He is fantastic. And this match was like I would actually recommend this match if you're just like a fan of good matches, like with heat. This match was a good match with heat. It had like Tasha Steelz and Jada Stone was doing all kinds of flying moves. At one point, Elijah picks her up over his head and just throws her out of the ring, and she lands on like 4 people. It was good stuff. Yeah, probably had too much interference, but that's the Order 4. Like they do some of the House of Torture stuff, but it's not too gratuitous yet. But occasionally it does get there. But I don't think it got there in this match. Despite how the match ended, I don't think it got there. But Ali caught Stone midair with the highwayman, the Tombstone Pile Driver. Sorry, he then placed Steelz on top for the cheap win. The winners, Mustafa Ali and Tasha Steelz. Now, I recommend this match to the audience. I think that you guys would probably like this one. It was a good match. Okay, now let's get to this. Let's get to this part, and I hope King of the North is still here. So we go to the back, and we got Ariana Grace. She's talking to her dad, Santina Morella, and she just last week was manipulating him, apologized to him. They're making amends. She's trying to turn a new leaf. And she then tells her father, she's like, hey, I really want to know if I can really make it in this business. Can you give me a title shot? Makes no sense. But this is the story. And he was like, looks at her crazily. She goes, please, you missed my Sweet 16. And like now he feels like a dick. He's like, okay, I'll give you a title shot. so Ariana Grace, who's never won a match in Impact, so stupid, because her dad's the boss. Even though like 2 months ago she kicked him in the nuts, they're back. Well, she's very clearly manipulating him, like into like she's working him, and the audience knows this. And I get the feeling that he's going to be hip to it when the time is right. Like he can see it coming. He's not buying it. I think that's the story. So he's just playing into it right now. And if you notice, like immediately on social media, all of the knockouts were pissed. Daria Ray was pissed on the TV. She was like, I can't believe you gave her, like, that's nepotism. This is wrong. You shouldn't have done. So they're doing an angle where Daria is going to get Santino fired. And I think Frankie Kazarian plays into it. And it looks like Danny Luna is going to play into it. And it would not shock me if Danny Luna shows up at this show next week, No Surrender, and beats the holy shit out of Grace and Lei Ying Lee whenever they have their match. Like, it's just going to be a schmoz. That's my guess. They couldn't possibly have a match because Ariana Grace can't wrestle. Like, I know she's trained. She's been in wrestling school for years now, and I just don't think she can actually have a match. So that's why she's essentially a valet at this point for Stinks. But then we go to Daria Ray, and she laid out this no surrender card. So right now we have international title Stinks versus Trey Miguel. Hopefully Trey wins that. We got to get this title off of Stinks. He's no good. 8-man tag. the Hardys and the Righteous versus Order 4. Makes no goddamn sense. Like, none. I don't understand what's going on there. And then you get the main event, Santana and Leon Slater versus Nick Nemeth and Eddie Edwards. That should be really good. And so what they're doing now is they're doing kind of what AEW is doing right now with MJF, where Santana's got a lot of challengers at once. He's got all these people swirling around the main event picture, and they're creating new challengers for him. So you got Nick Nemeth, who has the Call Your Shot trophy, Eddie Edwards, who has the title shot because he won it in the ladder match, and then Leon Slater has option C, and they've been teasing that he can cash in option C. And then you got Mike Santana, and then of course, what happens in a little bit, I don't know, I'll get to it. We got Steve Macklin, looming out there as a potential challenger. And then AMC, their Twitter account is teasing Rich Swann as a potential challenger. And then, of course, you got Mustafa Ali. So they got a lot of guys right now looking for title shots, talking their way into title shots. So, chat, I see you guys. I'm gonna get to your chats. So, I think that's a good thing, and I think that's been helping AEW boost their TV. And it's made MJF's title run more interesting, the fact that he has a lot of challengers. And I think like that's what they're trying to do with Mike Santana, and we'll see if it works. I don't know. Kind of curious. But then at that point, the mood soured when Morella added Laying Lee versus Ariana Grace for the Knockouts title, leading Ray to threaten to take his irrational decision-making to the board of directors. So it looks like Daria Ray is working to get him fired. They're going to have to do a match with Santino and Stinks at some point. And then hopefully this all ends up with Santino going to NXT and taking over for Ava. Because right now Robert Stone is the interim NXT general manager. It would make sense for Santino to go take that job. And then Daria Ray, who is a better performer at this point in her career than Santino, and I find her to be far more interesting and a better promo and like a serious character. I can see that happening. That's just me spitballing. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but I'm kind of done with Santino. He's over, but I'm done with him. All right, let me get to the chat. Let's take a break. Let's get to the chat. Okay. King says AEW does a lot of the plate spinning for sure. Yeah, they got a lot of people in a lot of different feuds, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with it. And they've been doing a little bit better job of that lately, but they got a ton of stuff going on at the same time. Jada can show up on NXT anytime. I think Jada is still green. I don't see her showing up on NXT in the next year or two, but I think down the road for sure. I think they got something with her, but she's like a couple years out. But I like her. Finally, something good to talk about. I don't know what that was about. Okay, Mike and JD show. Who sells better, Ali or Swan? Inject Ali versus Swan into my veins. So, that's a tough one, man, because they sell differently. Ali sells like a heel, and he does it in great fashion where he's getting over the babyface. Rich Swann is next level babyface selling. He's Ricky Steamboat. He's Ricky Morton. He's Hulk Hogan. And I know that, like, what are you talking about? Like, go back and watch some of Hulk Hogan's matches when he's selling for the heels. Like, that brother will cry on your ass. So, like, Rich Swann does the same stuff. Like, he really, really like lays it on thick. So and Tommy Dreamer was always good about that in the past. So that's like Rich Swann. He's next level babyface, but Ali is like he sells like Ric Flair. Like, there you go. Like, Ali and Swan, it's like, as far as selling goes, it's like Flair and Ricky Morton. And in fact, them two having a really good match together would be great. I would love to see that. They're awesome. Gerard says, I think Grace wins the title and then Daria gets her fired. I hope that doesn't happen, because then I have to hear about it. Let's see. I don't think just giving her the match will be enough. Yeah. Let's see. Swan is a better seller in the ring for sure. I think that if Ali were to work a babyface, he would be a really good seller too. But he's a better heel than he is a babyface. But Rich Swann's fantastic. Okay, now let's get to Steve Maclin. So former world champion Steve Maclin delivered a heartfelt goodbye. He's seen in the back. He's like shaking hands with some of the baby faces, Trey Miguel and Rich Swann and those guys. And then he said he gets the microphone and he starts crying into the camera, not microphone, but he's looking into the camera, saying that TNA gave him a home when nobody wanted him, and he starts crying and he gives this big heartfelt goodbye, saying that he loves being here, a part of the land of the misfit toys, which is like what TNA is. It's a lot of people who got fired from bigger companies. I think the only person that left that's in TNA, like there's only a couple people that left on their own to come to TNA. It's Nick Nemeth, it's Frankie Kazarian, and it's Mike Santana. Everybody else like got fired. Well, I take it back. Moose and Eddie Edwards, like they've just been there forever, but I'm talking about like recently. Those three guys got fired, or those three guys are the only ones like literally like voluntarily left their company because they wanted to come to TNA. They were looking to get out, but everybody else are just people that got fired from AEW or WWE. But he's visibly emotional about his departure. And then Mike Santana's waiting by the back door, and he came to show him some respect and embrace him. And then he said, "Your selflessness was such a good, you're my brother. You were so selfless, and we all love you, and this, and that." That word selfless is what set Maclin off. So they hugged, and Macklin's about to walk out the door, and then he turns, and then he attacks Santana from behind and slams him into the garage door and starts beating the shit out of him. And I'm like, fuck, yes. So like that fucking promo with the tears and then turning like that. He just flips that switch. And that's that switch that I told you guys about that very few people have. Not a lot of guys have that switch. And I was talking about it, and it was like, what is that switch? The switch is where you're going to go from good to great, or when you have to step up in the spotlight. When that red light goes on, can you perform? But in the military, the switch, at least the way I was taught, the switch is when you're on a convoy, and this happened to me. I'm in a convoy in Kabul. I had to go do an X-ray survey at a local hospital. We're like a humanitarian thing. Funny story. Before I get to the convoy, I get there and I'm like testing for X-ray radiation, and you need lead line walls in those buildings before you start testing. You have to you should get the floor plans. You should do all this. Well, the people that we were meeting there said, I think we have lead line walls. I'm pretty sure we do. We just want to make sure that nothing's getting through the walls. The first test I do, right? They have this big X-ray machine that we get it all set up, and I'm just standing outside the wall to make sure that nobody that's in the hallway is getting shot with X-rays. So I have my X-ray probe. So it's a little Victorine 451P thing, and I got my meter set up, and I'm just standing there, and I'm like an airman. And they shoot the X-ray, and all of a sudden my meter just goes whoop, all the way up. I'm like, holy shit. And then my commander, he's on the other side in the other hallway. His meter goes whoop, all the way up, and he goes, holy shit. He puts a stop to everything. He comes up to me. He goes, hey, Mike. I was like, yeah, Colonel. I was like, what was that? And he goes, we just got hit with radiation. I was like, oh shit. He goes, I have 5 kids, and you don't have any. Why don't you sit this one out? I was like, that sounds like a good idea. So we had to put that in my medical record that I got zapped with radiation with no protection. So anyway, to get there, we had to do a convoy. So I landed at Kabul International Airport, KIA, not cool. And then we're met by a Humvee. The Humvee is going to take us through downtown Kabul to get to the hospital, right? And I'm like full battle rattle, got my M16, got my chest plates, got my helmet on, like ready to go. And like they pull up in the Humvee, and I'm like, hold on, what's this? And they go, where do you think the hospital was at? I was like, I thought it was here at the airport. And they go, no, it's like 10 miles away. I'm like, oh shit. So I get in the back, and the driver looks at me. I'll never forget it. And he goes, hey, Gilbert, we're not stopping for anybody. Everybody here wants to kill us. We need you to be on high alert. Safety off. And as soon as I hit safety off, I hit the switch, right? And so in my head, when I say hit the switch, like that, like now you stepped up a notch. You're in that next gear. You're in the next level. It's time to fuck shit up, right? So I hit that switch, and then I put my gun on burst because I don't know how to shoot. I was not a very good shot, so I put it on burst. And just if I was like, if somebody tries to get us, I'm just gonna spray and pray at that point because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm Air Force. But like Steve Maclin has it. Not everybody has it. Not everybody understands that. A lot of like character actors have to be in there. Mike Santana is like one of those character actors where he's in, like he is Mike Santana all the time. He's always charged up. And so when you see him, he's living it. He believes it, right? Steve Macklin can go from nice guy, super sweet guy, crying, emotional, to you piss him off in a second, and boom, that switch goes off, and he'll fuck you up. That's the thing that people don't get about a guy like Steve, that I understand, which is why I have been one of his biggest supporters, because I know where he's been and I know what he's had to go through, and not to the extent that he's had to go through it. I stay at the hospital for the most part, but I understand it. So when everybody's like, Mike, why do you like Steve so much? Because look at the fucking promo he just cut. The emotional promo where he's got tears in his eyes and he's crying. And then less than a minute later, he turns heel and beats the shit out of somebody. Not a lot of guys can do that. And Steve is one of the very few that can do it, because he's got that switch. He knows when it's time to be great, he can be great. So I thought that was fantastic. And next we get to another squash match. Tessa Blanchard versus Rachel Leigh. Never heard of her, but she seemed cool. But Tessa beat her ass in 3 minutes. At one point, Rachel tried to hit a moonsault and went splat. But Tessa got the buzzsaw DDT. I think Tessa, they're going to keep her on these tape shows in the AMC era. I do wonder when they're going to bring her on one of the live shows. Like, if they do, they might not want to do it in a in a certain district, because they'll do the "she's a racist" chant in a heartbeat. Okay. This was terrible. The Nemeth games. So Ryan Nemeth is at a football stadium with Marsha Day, and he wants to challenge her to a series of athletic challenges. So they go to the football field, and then Marsha Day throws a pass to herself, like Mr. Perfect. And then they go play a game of horse, and Marsha Day wins. They play darts, Marsha Day wins, and then Marsha Day kicks him, and then that was the end of the segment. It was terrible. Nobody needs to go see this. And they're wrestling next week. I'll very likely fast forward it. Embarrassing. Not good television. It sucks for Marsha Day, because I think she's got something, And I think Ryan Nemeth could be like a good like heel manager for his brother. Just be on the outside, holding a tennis racket, like that kind of guy. They shouldn't be wrestling each other, and I think it's just been a waste of Mara. And I don't know if Mara was hurt for a while, so she couldn't do full matches, but it seems like she's back now. So it's a waste of her, I think, because I do think that they might have something with her. But yeah, I don't like this whole thing with Nemeth. It's a waste of time. Okay, Elegance Brand versus Indy Hartwell, Zaya Brookside, and Lei Ying Lee. This was a good match. I probably would have went a couple minutes shorter. I did like that the Elegance Brand came out in their banana suits, which I used to have to wear. So like they're wearing banana suits, like kind of like the ones that they were wearing were cloth, but they should have been more Tyvek material if they're really going to get at the essence of a chemical engineer. But that's neither here nor there. That's just my bioenvironmental engineering speaking. But they had their Breaking Bad outfits on, which I thought was pretty cool. The match had a lot of heat. Sure did. So let's see. It was a chaotic 6-woman tag match to showcase the depth. Not a lot of depth of the Knockouts tag division, that's for sure. But M by Elegance showed up for karate background, but the show's comedy. But the power of Hartwell and the speed of Brookside kept the heels on their heels, despite interference from the personal concierge and Mr. Elegance, who accidentally took a face full of glitter. That was so bad TV. Brookside managed to roll up Heather for the victory. So it looks like they're trying to set up Brookside and Lei Ying Lee for the tag titles, but Lei Ying Lee's the world champion, and she's not supposed to be the world champion. Danny Luna's supposed to be the world champion, but Danny Luna couldn't get into the country. So it's a whole fucking thing. So I don't know what they're doing, but they're just delaying the inevitable Zaya Brookside Lei Ying Lee tag title win. And then it looks like they're going to go with Indy Hartwell versus Ash by Elegance at some point. I just don't know when. The post-match Elegance Brand, because they lost, have to get their heat back, and they lost a post-match assault, leaving Zaya Brookside laid out. So there you go. And then let's get to the final segment, and then I'll get to the chat, and then we're going to send this thing home. Mike Santana entered the ring to address Macklin's betrayal. So he did, but because the Maclin betrayal, they taped it out of sequence. This is how good Santana is. They taped this out of sequence, right? So he comes out, but he can't say Steve Macklin's name. Because if he does, then he gives it away to the live audience, who's then going to leak it to the internet, because all this stuff was filmed backstage. So he talks about his friend's betrayal. He doesn't talk about MACLIN. He talks about his friend and calling him a bitch and all this other stuff. I thought that was clever. That was really good. It's also the dangers of taping a month in advance, but the way they did it, I thought was clever, and I thought they did a really good job. And of course, like Mike Santana is just a great promo. So, but he entered the ring and addressed Macklin's betrayal, stating that he thrives in chaos and inviting his enemies to stab him in the chest rather than the back. And then the system immediately swarmed him. The Hardys attempted a rescue, but were overwhelmed by the numbers. And just as Eddie Edwards prepared to use the world title as a weapon, Moose made a shocking appearance coming from behind. He cleared the ring, standing tall alongside Santana and the Hardys as the show went off the air. And then, of course, they get to Twitter and they immediately make the match for next week. It's going to be the System versus the Hardys, Mike Santana and Moose next week. We also get Nick Nemeth versus Rich Swann, which should be pretty good. And then Albuquerque Street Fight, Mara Shade versus Ryan Nemeth, which I may or may not even be watching. It really depends on if I get to watch the show live.